So we're diving into this whole innovators mindset thing today.
Yeah.
And, you've sent over some pretty fascinating material.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like everyone's trying to crack the code on what makes someone truly innovative. You know,
Absolutely.
is it just about coming up with ideas? Or is there like a deeper mental game going on?
It's so much more than just the ideas themselves. It's
Right.
really the foundation of how we approach pretty much everything. Problem solving, dealing with setbacks,
Right.
and ultimately, it determines whether we succeed in making those innovative ideas a reality.
And what's interesting is that this stuff applies to
Oh, yeah.
pretty much anyone, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just for tech geniuses or,
Yeah.
artists
Yeah.
or something. Like whether you're
Hmm.
trying to improve your cooking skills or you're, leading a team at work.
Exactly. I mean, think about your own goals,
Yeah. Right.
What are you working towards right now? And how is your mindset either helping or hindering your progress?
Okay, so our source material kind of boils it down to a few key traits, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about curiosity, adaptability,
Mm-hmm.
persistence, vision, and a willingness to take risks. But, I think sometimes these terms get thrown around so much that they lose their meaning.
Oh, for sure.
So let's break them down. Like, what does it actually look like to be a curious innovator?
Well, I think a truly curious person is like a
Yeah.
kid constantly asking why, right?
Right.
They're not afraid to question the status quo. They're always digging deeper.
Yeah. And it's not just about book smarts either, right?
No, not at all.
It's like being curious about the world around you.
Absolutely.
Your people, experiences, everything.
Exactly. Like you're actively seeking out new information and new perspectives.
So then how does that tie into adaptability? Because the world is changing so quickly these days.
Right. Well, adaptability is all about being able to adjust to those changes, right?
Yeah.
It's not about being rigid in your thinking.
No.
It's about being open to new ways of doing things, even if it means letting go of old habits.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You have to be comfortable with a certain level of uncertainty.
And being willing to pivot when things aren't working. Okay.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, so what about persistence? I feel like that's a huge one.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, let's be honest, innovation isn't always easy.
It definitely is not.
There are going to be setbacks, roadblocks.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of failures along the way.
So how do you keep going when it feels like you're hitting a wall?
Well, think about Thomas Edison, right?
Oh, yeah, with the light bulb.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
how many times did he try and fail before he finally got it right?
Thousands, right?
Thousands, yeah. He famously said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Wow.
That's persistence in action.
That's incredible. And it's such a good reminder that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process.
It's essential.
Yeah.
You learn from each misstep.
And you know what? That ties in perfectly to this whole growth mindset thing,
Absolutely.
which I gotta say sometimes feels a little bit overused,
Oh, yeah. It's become a bit of a buzzword.
Yeah, so let's break it down.
Sure.
What does it actually mean in practice to have a growth mindset, especially when it comes to being innovative?
Well, in a nutshell, it's about believing that your abilities aren't fixed. You
Right.
can always learn and grow and develop new skills.
Right.
It's like thinking of your brain as a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it gets.
So it's not about being born with some kind of special talent.
No, not at all.
It's about being willing to put in the work and embrace the learning process.
Exactly. And that opens you up to so much more.
Right, because you're not afraid to experiment, to make mistakes, to try new things.
Right. You see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow.
Okay, so I totally get the theory here, but I'm curious how this plays out in real life.
Sure.
Like, can you give me an example of a time when you had to really shift your mindset to overcome a challenge?
Well, I used to think I was just terrible at public speaking.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I would get so nervous, I'd completely freeze up.
I would never have guessed.
But then I realized I was approaching it with a fixed mindset, I was telling myself I was just bad at it, and that was that.
Right.
But then I started thinking about it differently.
Yeah.
I started seeing it as a skill I could develop.
Oh, okay.
I took some classes, I practiced a lot, and slowly but surely I started to get more comfortable.
That's awesome.
And now I actually enjoy it.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And it shows how powerful it can be to shift from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Absolutely.
It's about focusing on progress, not perfection. Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about curiosity, adaptability, persistence, and that growth mindset.
Yeah.
What about vision? Our source material really emphasizes that as a crucial part of the innovator's mindset.
Vision is essential. It's about being able to see beyond the present
Okay.
and imagine what could be.
So it's not just about solving existing problems.
Right.
It's about anticipating future needs and trends.
Exactly. Think about someone like Steve Jobs.
Okay.
He didn't just create a new phone with the iPhone.
Right.
He envisioned a device that would fundamentally change how we communicate and interact with the world.
It's about seeing the big picture. Right.
Exactly.
And being able to articulate that vision in a way that inspires others.
You got it.
Okay, so that brings us to risk-taking,
Yeah.
which can be a bit of a scary concept for some people.
Oh, for sure.
Because innovation often means going against the grain, doing things differently.
Absolutely. You're challenging the status quo.
Right, and that can come with some serious pushback.
Definitely.
So how do you balance that need to take risks with the potential for failure?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Okay.
There's no easy answer.
Right.
But I think it's about being calculated,
Okay.
understanding the potential downsides,
Mhm.
but also being willing to step outside of your comfort zone.
So you're saying it's not about being reckless.
No, not at all.
It's about informed risk-taking.
Exact.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
But I want to bring it back to some real-world examples.
Yeah.
History is full of incredible innovators,
It is.
people who embodied these traits that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Are there any stories that really stand out to you as examples of how this stuff works in practice?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the Wright brothers.
Okay.
They crashed so many times before they finally achieved flight,
Right.
but they never gave up.
And they saw each crash as a learning opportunity, right?
Exactly. They were constantly iterating and improving their design.
That's so inspiring.
Uh,
What about someone like Marie Curie,
oh, she's an amazing example.
working in a male-dominated field, facing incredible skepticism?
Absolutely.
But she persevered
She did.
and made groundbreaking discoveries.
And changed the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what's so important to remember is that these people weren't superhuman.
No, they weren't.
They faced challenges and setbacks just like everyone else.
They did.
But they had this incredible drive and this unwavering belief in their vision.
And that's what allowed them to achieve such incredible things.
Okay, so as we wrap up here,
Sure.
what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing you want them to remember about developing an innovator's mindset?
I think the most important thing is to remember that anyone can do it.
Really?
Yeah. It's not about some innate talent or genius.
Okay.
It's about cultivating these traits, embracing curiosity, adaptability, persistence, vision, and that growth mindset we talked about.
And it's a journey, right?
It is.
It's not something that happens overnight.
Got it.
It takes time and effort.
And it's ongoing.
Exactly.
You're always learning and growing.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired, what's one small step they can take today?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think a good place to start is to identify one area where you might be holding yourself back with a fixed mindset
Okay.
and challenge yourself to approach it differently.
So maybe it's seeking out feedback on a project
Exactly.
or taking on a new challenge that you've been avoiding.
Yeah, or even just asking yourself why more often.
I love that. Just being more curious about the world around us.
It all starts with that spark of curiosity.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this incredible deep dive.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it.
It's been so insightful, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to go out there
Me too.
and embrace their own inner innovator.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you then.